Hey everyone, it's May 12th. It's been a couple months since I've hollered at you. First of all, I just want to right off the bat apologize. It's in the afternoon. People who watch me all the time know that the afternoons is when I start having to be in a recliner and I'm tired from my full day and in pain. So I also haven't been feeling good, but it's not that I'm sick, and no, I don't have COVID. Uh, I tested positive out of two tests for valley fever, but it's not, it was a weak positive. So I'm hoping that this doesn't manifest into the full blown valley fever that I had back in 2012. And actually, I'm on video about that. I was pretty sick. So, anyway, I wanted to catch up with you guys. For those who are visiting me for the first time, welcome. I talk about my life experiences. I talk about my transition from female to male. I continue to do this. It's been 10 years, going on 11 years this year. Uh, I continue to do this just because there are still people who search for answers, people who want to relate to someone, maybe have similar experiences, thought processes, ideology, whatever. Uh, I was raised in basically a family that saw things black and white, and I lived in the closet due to my sexual orientation, which is heterosexual. But being female body, it was considered gay, and I lived in the closet for 11 years. Finally, I had to pop the balloon and just tell them, and I had to prepare myself for the consequences. Thank God that my family, I can't say my mom and them all accepted me, but my aunts, I don't know if they really accepted me or just said, well, you have to live your life and you're the one who has to stand before God. So that's basically how it was for me up until my 50th birthday when I got my first testosterone shot. I started medically transitioning probably around September of 2011 and started testosterone in December of 2011. And yeah, 2011. I was 50. So I just celebrated my 10th anniversary. Anyway, so what are new thoughts for me? Well, the other day I experienced something that I hadn't experienced since my phalloplasty, the beginning of my phalloplasty, was I needed to pee really bad, and I was hurrying to the bathroom, and I turned around and sat down. I was just like, what the hell am I doing? But I just sat there kind of, in shock. I hadn't done that, and I'm sorry, there's a fly in here. I hadn't done that, since I ever can remember, which I probably did in the beginning of phalloplasty. But how did I feel about it? I was disappointed in myself. I don't know why. I mean, I wasn't banging myself up over the head about it, but I just thought, really? you know. So yeah, it was an experience. So I've been thinking about how we're all different. There are hundreds of guys that started transitioning around the time I did that started doing videos and videotaping their transition and talking about their relationships, and probably all but a handful of guys are left. And some of the guys I have as Facebook friends, and they've just gone on with their lives. They don't want to be um, tagged in the trans as a trans man. They just want to live who they are, and I don't blame them at all. This is not anything against anybody who's decided to do that. For me, though, the other day I was kind of going through my subscriptions, and a lot of guys have taken down their content and stuff, and I just wonder how they're doing. I wonder if everything's okay. Sometimes there's been times where I've had people comment in a way, or I've watched a video in a way that they thought transition would solve all their problems and they could start fresh and be this whole new person. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen because uh, in my in my theory about life is that we have certain personalities and we react to certain things in our lives and we respond to certain things in our lives. And other people putting things into our lives that we have no control of. So we develop some behavioral issues or we develop some uh, circumstances that are out of our control, but we're trying to deal with them. Or just because we have gender identity and don't know how to deal with it, didn't know how to deal with it, we've gone down into this depression, or we've kept ourselves from society, become a hermit, develop some like things like agoraphobia, uh, you know, just different things. So we have not just having gender identity, not understanding it. Sometimes family keeps us from really being our full potential, our authentic selves. Sometimes we're young, too young to break the cycles of family dominance, family rearing, the way they believe, their belief system. And I'm here to tell you, you have hope, but it's going to take you and nobody else because we can't expect someone else to save us from something that we're doing to ourselves. And what I mean by that is, it, life is a react. We humans react to life. So the first thing you say when you see a kid getting spanked by their parent nowadays, especially not back in my day, but nowadays, the first thought is people are reacting to that parent like, oh my God, can't they take it to the wait until they get to the house or whatever? So there's always a reaction to what someone else is doing. And what we don't see is or hear is ourselves. And the very thing that we don't like other people doing to us, we as humans do that naturally to other people. And so just we react to situations, we react to um, outbursts, we react to other things people do or say, not always out loud, but sometimes out loud. And then sometimes we grow up in a world where they are black and white, like I was. Uh, Sometimes it's a domineering ideology that you can't break the cycle, or that you fear you'll lose everybody if you tell them that you see things differently, or that you believe differently, or you are different. And that throws us into a place of depression, like we have no one, we have nowhere to go. Uh, what helped me in my life, because I did feel that way. I felt like, even at a very young age, when I constantly would be told, you don't do that because you're a girl. Never by my parents. My parents let us be who we were, but by my other family members. You need to act this way, you're a girl. And I really didn't know what the difference between a boy and girl was until I met my cousin, my boy cousin, and I was like 8 years old the first time I really met him. I was old enough to understand who he was and saw him naked. And then my like was, well, why don't I have one of those? I should have one of those because I saw myself as an equal to him. So anyway, I could have went a very different route in how I responded and reacted to those things throughout life, but instead I clung on to my belief system, not necessarily the religion part, because I didn't agree with any of the religion part. Any of the stories of the Bible just did not make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me why a God who is God Almighty and can do anything he wants and creates this world and creates humans just so they can screw up. It did not make sense to me. Okay. Uh, anyway, I'm not going to go into that part. But so there was things that just did not make sense to me, and I always questioned them. But when I became and the fact that when I was a kid, I saw myself as a boy and kept being told girl, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand why I would be born this way and then see myself or inside I'm a different way. As time went on in my life, I understood that I needed to accept it. It wasn't going to change. No matter how many times I prayed, I'd wake up and it all would change. Then when I got into puberty, I was always attracted to the girls, and I thought to myself, what the hell is going on here? And I said, but it feels so natural. It's, I have to force myself to hold a boy's hand. I have to force myself to date a boy or to go out with a boy or whatever. Oh, this is the way it's supposed to be, so I have to do it. And I did that for like 3 or 4 years. I tried. And I ended up falling in love with a woman. And I was 18 by then, so I was able to do what I wanted. But it was my faith, it was my belief system that kept me from going into a depression. It kept me from turning to drugs and alcohol to ease the pain. I would pray. I play acoustic guitar. I'm a rhythm player. And I would just sing, and I grew up with country and I grew up with gospel, but mainly gospel. And I would just sing gospel songs because in gospel songs I feel the sincerity, I feel the spirit, I feel the calm. I feel like I can pour my soul open and it's received. It's not condemned. And so that's what I did. I was a loner. I retreated to my room, especially heavily when I didn't understand things. Sure, I dated. Sure, I had a couple boyfriends. It never felt right. And everyone was so excited, especially my grandma and my aunts, that I was dating a guy. And well, not that I was dating a guy, but I was with someone because I was told when I turned 18 I'm supposed to get married and have a family. And I told myself, oh, no. Not the way you think. But so anyway, um, that's how I still deal with things. When I don't understand, I have been so overwhelmed and flustered and frustrated and almost to the point of hatefulness of the ignorancy of a lot of people that are feeding off a rhetoric that is damaging to other human beings. And it has been that way for a few years. And I just think to myself, how can people lay their heads down at night knowing they're causing harm, mental, emotional, physical harm to other people? And I've had to really go back to just have faith that things work out, that good prevails, bad doesn't. And that's kind of why I'm telling you a little bit about this, because if you are, or if you have dealt with a long life of gender identity, didn't know what it was, don't have a family that support you, don't have friends that you feel you can talk to, uh, I want to tell you that there's hope. You have to believe that you were created the way you were created for a purpose. It's not to cause you pain and suffering. It's not, maybe not even to make a statement to other people. Because it's just because you are who you are. Just as someone's born with blonde hair and not black hair, and vice versa. Some of us are born with hardwiring being messed up. Some of us are born being attracted to the same sex. It doesn't make us wrong, and it doesn't make us bad people. What makes us wrong and bad people is ourselves and how we respond to this. When you're feeling alone and you think that drink's going to help, you know it's not. Oh, but it eases the pain, Ethan, right at the time. But so can a song. So can you go sitting out in your front yard and singing a song or listen to music. You don't need a physical, subdued substance. You don't need to numb your mind. What you should do is look in the mirror and say, okay, what can I do to love you? What are the steps? Because you always have options. There's possibilities, there's choices. If you like the thrill of the drug, why did you do it in the first place? Inner peace is a lot more of a high than any substance can give you. To go out and walk in a park and enjoy the nature, to know that no one owns you, no one can tell you what to do, to walk and know that you're your own person and that only you can change things. If you need help, go get counseling. If you're getting counseling and you don't feel you're getting anywhere, change your counselors. If you feel like you need friends who can listen, find some groups. There's plenty of LGBT groups out there. And let me tell you, there's a lot of LGBT people who don't understand trans, or LGBTQ people who don't understand trans. That's just their ignorance. Educate them. Be a good person. Be an example. Make people want to be like you. And if they despise you, it's because they're jealous. Because you have something they don't have. And that a lot of times it's jealousy. But most important, if you're searching these videos and you're looking for answers, first of all, seek a counselor and they'll guide you how to take the steps to transition if that's your choice. Or they'll guide you to tell you if you do have gender identity, or they'll help you work through some things that maybe has happened, trauma, or anything else in your life, so you can get clarity to move on to the next pathway to walk. But you are worthy of living and breathing and enjoying life just as anybody else. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter who you love. You have the right and you are worthy of that. I'm really reaching out to guys because I notice that a lot of trans people have mental illness, and a lot of it's years of not understanding themselves. Stupid fly, I'm sorry. Um, but we have the tools now that we didn't have a long time ago. But you have to be willing. You have to be willing to open up. You have to be willing to work on the things that needs to be worked so that you can move forward in your life. And don't hate anybody, even the person who traumatized you. Understand that they probably were traumatized themselves and they weren't. Maybe they're just not good people. And then limit yourself around whoever it is, even if it's family. Listen, we are not bound to family. Yes, we love our family. But if they're not going to give you a healthy environment when you're around, choose until you're ready to stand up to that unhealthy environment. Choose who you're around. Choose your friends. Choose where you want to be. Make it positive. And for now, if that means going for a walk in the park every night and just watching kids play or watching other adults play or just whatever, sitting on a bench, watching the birds, listening to them, whatever soothes you, listening to music, do something that you can relax and use your senses, your eyes, your ears, your smell. Use what God's given us, or the higher being, or however you believe. We were given all these senses for a reason. So anyway, guys, that's how I dealt with it. I listened, I played my music, I sang, I wrote poetry, I wrote a journal. Uh, I didn't say anything to people who were mouthing off or anything. I'm not confrontational unless you really, really piss me off. But I have to be pushed very far because it's not worth it. You're not going to change their way of thinking. You have to lead by example. And I'll give you a little example real quick. I'm kind of running over the minutes here, but when I came out to my family as gay, I had a cousin who read me the right act. I'm second in line out of 10. She was number one. She quoted scriptures at me. She was yelling at me, da 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 da. And I simply said, if you're going to use the scriptures, you better adhere to all the scriptures. Because aren't you married to a man who was divorced? And that's all I said to her. I said, if you've gone without sin, cast the first stone. And that was like on a Thursday or Friday. She wrote me an email Monday morning. It was a book telling me how terrible she felt all weekend, and that it wasn't her place to judge me, and that she knows that I'm a good person and that I love the Lord and I've always depended on God, and uh, that relationship has always been strong. And so those are things she don't understand. So just by me not yelling back, screaming, and just having faith that who I am will stand up to anything, it paid off in that incident. And eventually it's never talked about, but my aunts and uncle, I mean, when they're around, they don't treat me bad or anything. I'm just who I am. I haven't changed. Uh, I haven't thought I'm all that in a bag of chips because I'm male now, and I don't speak different. I don't cuss, and I don't, I'm just how you see me right now is who I am. I can be opinionated. I can be. I have my own ideas about things. I'm an older person, and I think we all get there and do that. But um, for the most part, I just want to reach out to all of you that are struggling and just say, hang in there. One step at a time. One foot in front of the other. But you've got to make that step. Someone cannot pull you up from the couch. You've got to get yourself up. Even if it's baby steps, even if it means cleaning your room or cleaning your house or going and taking a shower, washing your clothes, whatever, wherever you are in life. If it means going and making a counseling appointment or going to the public, the county place and getting some counseling if you don't have insurance or money. There are outreach programs. Don't go to Christian programs. Don't go to religious programs. You're not looking for that. You're not looking to be defeated by ideology. So go to the county. Go to your LGBT community. They're the ones who helped me, who guided me to counseling. I reached out to one of the activists, and she knew exactly where to send me. So anyway, you guys take it one day at a time. Always make your journey as simple as possible. We'll talk to you later.